January 7, 1945. The dense forests of the Hürtgen, a region scarred by centuries of European conflict, lay shrouded in a cold gray mist. Snow clung to the skeletal branches, and the ground beneath was a treacherous mix of mud and frozen leaves. The wind carried the metallic scent of artillery, and somewhere in the distance, a tree fell, not with a whisper, but a violent, echoing crack that startled both man and animal. Amid this silence, the German officers watched anxiously, binoculars pressed to frost-laden eyes, as columns of American troops advanced through the undergrowth, seemingly impervious to the withering fire that tore through the forest around them. For months, the Hürtgen Forest had been a nightmare of defensive engineering and tactical advantage for the Germans. It was a labyrinth of pillboxes, mined roads, and fortified positions that had slowed every Allied advance, exacting a high price in blood and morale. The Germans, hardened by years of Eastern and Western Front campaigns, expected the Americans to falter, to crumble under the relentless artillery barrages and the treacherous terrain. The forest, with its dense canopy and concealed foxholes, was a fortress of nature itself. To German minds, it seemed that any offensive would be doomed to frustration, a grinding war of attrition that played into their strategic planning. Yet, what they saw on that winter morning defied expectation. American forces, trained in rigorous engineering and innovative tactics, moved with an unsettling efficiency. Engineers cleared mines, bridged streams, and constructed makeshift roads under continuous enemy fire. Infantry units advanced in tight coordination with armored support, leveraging artillery spotters and radio communication in a manner that appeared almost prescient to the German observers. The sight of men navigating this unforgiving landscape with stoic determination, without hesitation, challenged the German assumptions of battlefield inevitability. Historical records revealed a staggering scope of this operation. The U.S. 9th Infantry Division alone suffered over 2,000 casualties in this forest campaign, yet reports indicate that their engineers constructed more than 20 kilometers of roads under fire, enabling armored units to maneuver where the Germans had believed movement impossible. Officers like General Oberst Johannes Blaskowitz documented their disbelief. In internal memos, he noted the tenacity and ingenuity of the American soldiers, acknowledging that their methods, rapid construction under fire, coordinated assaults, and relentless advance, were something unprecedented in the West. Letters from lower-ranking German officers spoke in quieter tones of astonishment and frustration, describing American soldiers as ghosts moving through the woods, and almost supernatural resilience under fire. The emotional contrast between expectation and reality was stark. The Germans, conditioned by years of disciplined warfare and confident in the natural defenses of the Hürtgen, expected hesitation, disarray, and eventual retreat. Instead, they witnessed calm determination, methodical progress, and a refusal to yield to fear or terrain. It was a collision of ideology and experience, the German belief in methodical control confronted by the American doctrine of flexibility, ingenuity, and individual initiative. Symbolism emerges in the seemingly mundane, the engineer's shovel. For the Americans, it was a tool of survival and transformation, a humble object that embodied the nation's industrial ingenuity and democratic ethic, the capacity to adapt, to construct, to overcome obstacles. For the German officers observing from fortified positions, the shovel was almost an affront, a simple implement that allowed the enemy to traverse what should have been impossible, undermining years of strategic calculation. It became, in essence, an American symbol of abundance, not of material wealth alone, but of resources, training, and, most importantly, the mindset to deploy them effectively even under mortal threat. As the campaign continued, the Hürtgen Forest revealed more than tactical lessons. It exposed ideological fractures. The Germans, so reliant on predictable warfare, faced a foe willing to endure discomfort, fire, and chaos for the sake of momentum. Reports of American soldiers sharing rations, reinforcing one another, and improvising under duress contrasted sharply with the German experiences of ration scarcity and rigid command structures. This clash of operational philosophy had a psychological toll. German morale eroded not merely because of losses in men or materiel, but because the Americans embodied a principle that could not be countered by fortifications alone: adaptability, resilience, and the capacity for collaborative problem-solving under fire. Primary sources recount moments of quiet recognition. A German captain writing in a post-war memoir described the sight of U.S. engineers building a bridge over a blown-out stream while under mortar fire. "I thought, if these men can do this without panic, without hesitation, then perhaps we are witnessing a force greater than our calculations could foresee." In those moments, the forest ceased to be merely a tactical battlefield. It became a proving ground for a clash of national character. The U.S. soldiers' ability to improvise and endure, to construct and persist, was a tangible manifestation of the democratic spirit, practical, resilient, and unyielding. By the campaign's end, the Hürtgen Forest had exhausted its toll in human life, yet it also transformed perceptions. For German officers, the shock was profound. It was not just the terrain or the tactics that had been subverted, but the very assumptions about what an army could achieve under extreme conditions. The Americans, through relentless engineering, discipline, and courage, had demonstrated that even the most forbidding natural obstacles could be overcome with ingenuity and collective resolve. In reflection, the winter woods of Hürtgen reveal a broader truth. Abundance is not solely measured in resources, but in creativity, determination, and the willingness to confront the unknown. The simple engineer's shovel carving paths through mud and ice became a quiet emblem of American democracy, a testament to the power of adaptation, ingenuity, and the unyielding belief that no obstacle is insurmountable. As the forest stands silent once more, the echoes of shovels striking earth and boots pressing through snow remind us that freedom and resilience often manifest in the smallest, most unassuming acts, transforming not only the battlefield, but the hearts and minds of those who witness them. The Hürtgen Forest, shrouded in winter's mist, remains both a monument to human endurance and a lesson in ideological contrast, where rigidity meets flexibility, where fear meets resolve, and where scarcity meets abundance. The outcomes redefine what is possible. The shock felt by German officers was not merely tactical, it was a confrontation with a living symbol of American ingenuity and democratic spirit, a reminder that the power of a nation often lies not in its fortifications, but in the resourcefulness and courage of its people.